Hey Capricorn, how's it going? We're going to do a random tarot reading. And I don't know what this is going to be about. This could be about love, relationships. It could be about that house that you wanted to buy. It could be about career or financial opportunities. I'm shuffling them right here in front of you, these cards, which means we're going to find out together. And I know that you guys are used to me lately using a deck that was called the Last Unicorn. But this month, I felt compelled to use a deck called the Orion's Animal Tarot deck. It is beautifully illustrated, and as usual, you will get a really close-up view of these cards so that you can tell exactly why I have decided to relate to you guys what is going on in these cards, because the pictures always tell the story. And you know what? Right off the bat, you have really good cards. Honestly, it looks like difficulty was something that was your first name, unfortunately. Like you went through a bunch of difficulty because the Tower card is here. But the very last card in this reading, if we go along them, is the Ten of Cups, which means all of the struggle that you had gone through is going to culminate in something beautiful. Ten of Cups is beautiful because it is your cup runneth over energy. That's the energy you can find in the Ace of Cups when emotionally your heart is so full. That's what the phrase means, right? Your cup runneth over. You have so much abundance, in this case, in the Suit of Cups, so much overfilling your heart, like it would be said if you were reading the Ace of Cups, that by the time you get to the Ten of Cups, it's almost overwhelming how perfect it ends up being. How much happiness, how much wish fulfillment, how much moment of completion means to you once we get to the Ten of Cups card. And I think that it becomes that much more fulfilling when you have a card like the Tower card. The struggle that you would have went through, something that seemingly in the past or even right now felt like it was burning down to the ground. And what's right next to this Tower card is the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups, and you guys know that I love reading cards in relation to the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and therefore in relation to what Arthur Edward Waite had described when he wrote about all of these cards in the books that he published. And my favorite, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, which he published in 1910. Because when he discusses the Two of Cups, he says that in the upright or the reversal, it means unity, togetherness, like a sanctified kind of coming together. And when I say that, I mean, according to him, it was like a holy, very deeply spiritual coming together. But when it's sitting right next to the Tower card, in the reversal, it makes me feel like there was a tower moment between you and somebody else. There was a difficult crumbling situation that happened between you and someone else. And that's not because the Two of Cups is in the reversal, because Arthur Edward Waite says that whether this is in the upright or the reversal, the Two of Cups is a card of absolutely loving energy, platonic, sanctimonious, I think that's the word again, sanctified rather, unity between two people. It's the Tower card sitting right next to it that makes me feel like something crumbled. And above that Tower card is the Four of Cups. And the Four of Cups is an energy of somebody who could not let go of some situation, was potentially too stubborn to see the reality of a truth, and was choosing to focus on other situations instead of the good that was right in front of them. I do believe with the Eight of Wands in the reversal here, that the difficulty and the Tower associated with this reading may very well have been that somebody had not been able to communicate effectively and therefore not be able to go forward in positive progress within this relationship between these two people that are held here in the Two of Cups card. And I say that because the Eight of Wands is typically looked at as if it is a group of arrows hitting a bullseye. But in the reversal position, there is so much more difficulty in getting the mark of having that swift forward progress or that swift communication come in. Now, on one side of the reading, we have the Sun, but it's in the reversal. Like the sun has set, so there's not quite as much clarity as there could be. Thankfully, when it comes to clarity between you and this other person, The Sun card, whether it's in the upright or the reversal, just like the Two of Cups card, is a card of clarity. It is a beautiful positive omen. It just means like the cycles of the heaven, like the cycles of the sun goes up and then sets, comes back up and then sets again. That there's probably a period of time that you have to deal with before the full illumination and clarity of the sun lights the path before you. What is upright is the moon. If the moon was in the reversal and the sun was in the upright, I would be like, yes, you finally got past that confusion and that clarity, or pardon me, that moment of darkness. But when the sun is down and the moon is up, I do think right now you're sitting in a moment of, again, confusion with this entire dynamic because somebody's not communicating effectively. Somebody's a little bit stubborn in this circumstance between these two people. And that leads me to the last energy here. The Eight of Pentacles is sitting in the reversal position. And what's really unfortunate is that the Eight of Pentacles, it's the card of the student to the master. It's supposed to be about education and learning, but it's also about attempting to master something in its traditional sense in the realm of finances or your money. But when it's in the reversal, because it is typically a depiction of a man who is taking these coins and putting these coins that he has crafted up on a wall above him. If you've ever seen the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you would see the Eight of Pentacles and see that picture of a man hammering these coins. When it's in the reversal, he hammers them for the wrong way. And that card, which we have here in the reversal, ends up actually being a card of usury. Using an aspect of the material world for your own personal gain. And so what could very well have happened in this dynamic is somebody was using the other person. Somebody was selfish. It doesn't mean that they were permanently and forever are a dastardly bastard. Forever being a selfish person who's going to use the other, but at some point they were, and I think that's what brought the Tower moment down. They were selfish and they were using the other person in a way that they shouldn't have been, or they were using something that affected the dynamic of the relationship in a way that they shouldn't have been. The reason why I'm saying I don't think this is a permanent forever energy where this person is just prone to using things or being selfish is because the Two of Cups and the Ten of Cups are here. So there is some kind of a beautiful outcome. And in this case, much like the original Ten of Cups on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it is about unity. Two of Cups, Ten of Cups, we're going from the 2 straight to the 10. We're completing something, and it refers to completion with people uniting. And that brings me to the next part of this reading that I kind of want to look into. I would like to see how this corrects itself a little bit. I'm going to shuffle some more cards to see if we can kind of narrow in to how this is going to play out when it comes to you coming together into that position of Ten of Cups. Let's shuffle first and see about the stubborn energy that this has here with this Four of Cups. We've got the Five of Swords. You know what? The stubborn energy could be that a person is holding on to and refusing to look past how there was some kind of a battle that they had to go through in the past. Frustrations, arguments, a loss even, because the Five of Swords, again, in that original Rider-Waite-Smith sense that I love so much, usually has a picture of a person who is looking back on a loss. Sometimes it even, in certain decks, depicts a person who is on the ground already because there was a loss, there was a battle. Nobody really looks very happy about it. But when I'm sitting here clarifying what it is that somebody wants to hold on to, and it gets the Five of Swords, they're holding on to the wound. Some kind of a wound, in any case. Some kind of a battle, some kind of a loss. Now, the Eight of Wands is the next card I want to look at. And it's the Seven of Cups. That's a really interesting position to be in the reversal. Interesting, but it does make sense. because the Eight of Wands is again about somebody who couldn't go forward appropriately or something that couldn't go forward appropriately. And when the Seven of Cups is in the reversal, it means that a person did not have the desire. Desire to what? To go forward. That, again, this is that Tower moment. They were acting from their own sense of what they wanted to do. And you know what? Come to think of it now, you do have 2 8s in the reversal, which does carry its own meaning. Like if you have 2 of the same number in tarot and they're both in the upright, that has its own meaning. If you have them both in the reversal, again, it has a different meaning. In this case, you do have 2 8s in the reversal. And I would have rather them have been in the upright, to be honest, and quite frank, because when 2 8s are in the reversal, it refers to misfortune. And this entire situation does look like a misfortune, unfortunately, because it does come with that Tower moment. And that brings me to the shuffling of the next little bit. Let's look into this Tower moment a little bit here. The Strength card is in the reversal. You know what's interesting is that I usually go on a tangent or a little bit of a rant in these readings when it comes to the Strength card in the reversal. And I tend to talk about how the Strength card has so much to do with a person's carnal body, the way that they allow themselves to get into loops with their body. This could be loops like they don't treat their body well. They don't have a healthy routine in life. They have a substance use issue. Even just, smoking cigarettes for some people can be an issue. Not eating properly can be an issue. Anything to do with the body. Too much sex, addictions to pornography, things like that come with the Strength card in the reversal. But whatever it is, the way that a person lived their life was enough of a routine problem that it caused a Tower moment. And that is typically because each one of these dynamics that I just mentioned, kind of like the 7 deadly sins of looking at how this person might not be sleeping properly, eating properly, however they've learned from when they were younger to treat their body. When you do that, it's usually for short-term gratification. And what is short-term gratification if not selfishness, like we discussed earlier on? I think this person habitually for a really long time has thought more about themselves and short-term gratification, and it caused a problem. And a problem that they're going to have to face. And a problem, to be quite frank, that they might not even really grasp the fullness of how long they have been doing that for. The Moon card is here with the Lovers, so they are confused about whether or not to come together effectively with you. But also because the Lovers is a position of masculine and feminine in a balanced sense when it's in the upright position. Again, I think this person does not grasp how to balance their own self effectively. Let's go to the usury position. Let's look at that 8 of Pentacles for a second. And then we will go to the 10 of Cups. I really love that the 4 of Wands is here, but with the idea of what is it they are using with the 8 of Pentacles, because that's what I'm kind of clarifying and asking right now. Why are they coming from a position of acting with usury? And when you have the 4 of Wands is about harvesting. And now that I realize that now you have 2 4s, by the way. But yeah, the 4 of Wands, whether it's in the upright position or in the reversal, again, Arthur Edward Waite mentions it is a very positive card. Except for when we're asking, what is a person using the other one for? And it's for, the problem they have is it seems like when they get into relationships with people, they are viewing the other person from a point of view of how you can benefit their life and benefit their harvest. Okay, I want you to think about that. They're not thinking about how you could necessarily come as service, or pardon me, how they could come as service to you, or how they could come as service to their community. which are beautifully mature ways of wanting to experience life. But instead, it's more like they are using other people and the harvest that comes from uniting with people and not realizing that if you approach life that way and you're only trying to gain certain advantages with relationships with people so that you can gain something, it's going to blow up eventually in a tower moment. But again, what is with this? These are really heavy energies for you to be sitting here with 2 of Cups and 10 of Cups. Like, this person's got a lot to bridge. Because that long-term problem of gain with other people, usury with other people, and selfishness is not an easy task. So I'm kind of stunned that this is the energy, even though you're sitting with 10 of Cups here. So let's now take that moment to look at the 10 of Cups. The 2 of Swords is here. Oh, very interesting. The 2 of Swords is when somebody is protecting their own self and blinding their own selves to the 10 of Cups. And the 3 of Wands. They act like that because of finances. Really? Because they're trying to harvest. I kind of got that feeling, right? Because that's what the 4 of Wands is about. 4 of Wands is closely related to Pentacles energy because it has to do with the harvest, even though it has to do with the Wands. Because you have to understand, when we are using the Suit of Wands, we're usually using it to manifest something in the physical world, which is what the Pentacles are about. And that's why the 3 of Wands card is the card of the little merchant. I really do think that this person, that you and this person are meant to be and have a soulmate connection with each other. But I think this person's greed is blocking that. I think the way that this person views the material world is blocking that, to be quite frank, which is sad. All right, now that 2 twos issue, we've got 2 twos and 4 fours. Let's talk about that quickly. Because neither one of these twos, I think, or these 2 fours are playing to a matured outcome here. What I mean is when you have 2, I'll bring them out. When you have 2 twos in the upright, it usually means accord, like people coming together in a proper dynamic, in accordance with one another, right? But when it's in the reversal, it's mistrust. And you have one of them in the upright and one of them in the reversal. So you can kind of put them together and find this symbolic understanding that somebody does not trust bringing the 2 of you together. And I would suspect it's this particular person here who's too focused on the way they want to harvest their life. And the 4s even, right here, when you have 2 4s in the upright and 2 4s in the reversal, they each have their own meaning. But again, you have 1 in the upright and 1 in the reversal. Which honestly, whether it's in the upright or the reversal, both kind of suck. It's about disputes and insomnia. When you have 2 4s in the upright, it's about insomnia. Like, this person cannot sleep properly over this situation. But it's almost like they're causing it, though, in their own view of what they believe the world is supposed to be like. This is what I mean about the harvest. And the card of the little merchant. It's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be about what they're doing with money. But, I mean, the way they think their life should be. White picket fence, got to get the right job, the right city, the right location, how they want to be with kids, without kids. Whatever the case is, that view of their white picket fence is distorted. And the way they think they have to achieve the perfect life is distorted. It's rooted in a view of selfishness, and I think it's rooted in a view with this 2 of Swords here, in how they can protect themselves from getting hurt because they want a sense of, like, almost their perfection to come to fruition. They want their view of it should go like this, that, and this, that, and this, which leaves no wiggle room for another person to fit in. Because if you bring another person in, if you're in a relationship with someone, you have to compromise. You have to understand that there's going to be different things that happen. And that, I think this person doesn't really want to tolerate anything except for their view. And with the Four of Cups, again, they don't want to let go of their view. They're mistrusting of anybody else's views to come in. And with the Sun card in the reversal, they're going to realize that that is a ridiculous approach to this. Okay, that brings me to the last part of what I want to talk about. Let's shuffle these back in the deck. How is it going to play out for them? Because if the Sun card is there in the reversal and the Moon card is up, then eventually they're going to get smacked with this. Because the Sun is going to bring the reality to them. But is it going to bring the reality to them with you around? Or are they going to have to go through some other nonsense to, you know, deal with this? The World card is here in the reversal. The Seven of Cups we already saw, and it's coming back up. If you see my camera shaking, by the way, my youngest child just came in here, so you might hear him in the background a little bit. And the Page of Swords is here now. First off, the World card in the reversal means that this person is going to have to keep going through a cycle again to click this into their mind, that their view of perfection is not going to work out. And it is a little unfortunate because the Page of Swords, when it's in the reversal, it means things that are unforeseen. Like, this person does not see it coming, unfortunately. Five of Cups, right? Holy moly. With the Five of Cups, when it's in the reversal, it usually insinuates that somebody has a false project that's going to not be achieved. And plus, that's the second five. Two fives were both in the reversal. Earlier, we had the Five of Swords, remember? Now we have the Five of Cups, both of them in the reversal. And that actually means reverse. It means that someone is going to end up taking a few steps backwards. So while this person has the Ten of Cups and you guys would be really suitable together, this person does not get it. And they are about to go through, how do you say it? 3 steps back in order to even go 1 step forward. So this is a them situation, despite the fact that you guys have sanctified energy with one another and happiness that can come with one another. You're a lesson to them. That's why it's sanctified. And it's going to take a few cycles for them to learn this. So if I were you, personally, I would move forward because they are going to have to deal with this lesson with or without you. I wouldn't want you to get caught in the crosshairs of what happens when this person has to come to this realization that their view of these projects, Five of Cups in the reversal, is not going to work out. That's what I think. I think that this person's selfishness is going to blow up in their face a little bit. And I think they also don't realize it because Page of Swords is unforeseen. They really don't see the perspective. I'm surprised they didn't get the Hanged Man card here, to be honest. They will. They just have to go around the merry-go-round a little bit here. So, well, not even a little bit, but I think a lot, to be quite frank. So I am going to leave you off with that. They've got a lot of growth and a lot of learning to go through. And if you are ever interested in looking into it a little bit further, you're always more than welcome to get a hold of me for a for a tarot reading. That's just my son. He's playing with a toy egg. And yeah, I'm going to leave you off at that. My information is in the description below or the link above if you ever want to chat. All right, take care, guys. Bye for now.